I just want to start with acknowledging, those impacted by Hurricane Helene. Obviously, a very, very unfortunate situation. What's going on, specifically those been impacted in the Carolinas. So, just want to let them know that our hearts and thoughts and prayers are going out to them, and we're going to do everything we can as an organization to make it a little bit better. We know it's not perfect, and just want to continue to let them know that we're thinking about them. So.
Jeff, hard to make that transition from that to now media day, but this has been something that you've obviously been looking forward to probably since you took this position. Is this like a kid at Christmas right now as we get ready to kind of unveil everything starting today?
Very much so. Just excited. It's been a whirlwind since I first got here back in March, so it's hard to kind of just sit back and reflect on everything. I feel like it's just nonstop, but very excited about this day. Had my clothes laid out last night, had everything packed, ready to roll. So no, very, very excited.
Jeff, can you just talk to us that Julius Randle trade and Carlton Towns? You guys got some draft compensation back. What can you tell us about that transaction that went down?
Yeah, I can't comment on the specific trade. As I've said before, we're just going to always be as strategic and opportunistic as we can going forward. That's something that we take pride in terms of just laying out strategies to help put the organization in the best possible situation going forward.
How much does kind of Mark's injury maybe feel like a setback, but also kind of feel like an opportunity to see some of the other guys potentially grow and develop?
Yeah, look, I hate it for Mark. He's had an unbelievable summer. He's worked his butt off, just getting in shape and putting the time in. He's showed a tremendous amount of resilience. Minor setback, but excited that fortunately it's not anything major, and he'll be able to make progress. But to your point, it's a great opportunity to see what these other guys have and be able to step up and get in the rotation and things like that. So really excited for some of the opportunities that others will have.
Jeff, there's been a lot of change in the organization a little over the last year. New owners, you coming on board, new coach hired for the team. Let me ask you, what are your expectations? Are they to make the playoffs this year? Is it to see growth as the season progresses, or is it something else?
Yeah, I think you hit on it right there from a growth standpoint. Look, we want to make sure we put a competitive group on the floor night in and night out. That's something that Charles and I have talked about a lot. We take pride in player development. Guys got to get better. I don't care if it's Tijon or Taj Gibson. There's something that they can get better in. We can all get better in. So we're really, really excited about that. And in terms of, we just want to focus on what we can control. And we're very process oriented. And inevitably, our belief is that the results will take care of themselves. But we got to control what we can on a daily basis.
Jeff, how concerning was it for Mark last season to miss so much time, and where is he with the back situation? I know it was kind of up in the air whether he was 100% or not. Where is he with that, and how did that missed time affect his summer?
Yeah, I think. Look, again, I hate it for him that he missed those games last season. He's a guy that loves to play, loves to be on the court. I will give Mark a ton of credit in terms of not just his rehab, in the training room and in the weight room when he couldn't play last year, but he was very attentive in terms of how our scouting reports took place and how he would guard guys on the other team, even though he wasn't in the game. So he was kind of taking the challenge from a mental standpoint, which was really neat to see. You don't see that a lot from a young player. So, but again, he's worked his butt off this entire offseason. His back's in good shape. So yeah, he's excited to get out there.
Jeff, what are your expectations for Brandon Miller this year, and do you think this could be a year where he breaks out and makes the All-Star team?
Yeah, I think it's important that we have expectations. More importantly, though, Brandon has expectations for himself. He's so competitive. He knows that he has a lot of room for improvement. He's a very good player now, but he has a lot of room for improvement. Sky's the limit with him. So I don't want to necessarily put a limit or a cap on him. He's going to be as good as he wants to be. I think a very valuable experience for him was this summer when he got to participate in some of the Olympic games and practices. So he just got to see, he plays with those guys on a nightly basis anyways, but to play them all in one setting was pretty neat experience for him. And again, that just kind of reignited him even more. Like he's very excited. So I don't want to put a limit on him. I can tell you this, he's been in the gym all off season and ready to take a next step.
What excites you about this new coaching staff, specifically Kemba Walker and his role?
The staff in general, I think first and foremost, there's just a good amount of energy with them. It's a younger group, and they love being on the floor. As I said earlier, player development is huge. It's something that we take pride in. I think it's very unique that they come from different backgrounds, different experiences, different teams. Some have been on championship teams, so they know what it takes to win at the highest level and continue to get better and develop the guys. And then Kemba, I mean, I feel like we got a steal, being able to get him to come in and get this coaching experience. He's obviously I don't need to comment on the level of player that he is, but his ability, one, of course, to connect with the guys and then teach them, not just on the court, but just habits, right, in general, like what it takes to be able to have a career at the level he did for that long has been really special. So it's neat to see his growth as well from the coaching standpoint.
With LaMelo, where's he at health-wise right now, and what do you want to see from him, I guess, in terms of being the face of the franchise for you guys this year? What do you see from him growth-wise moving forward?
Yeah, Melo he's in a great place from a health standpoint. He's had a really, really good summer as well. It's been neat to see his commitment level. He loves Charlotte. He just stayed in Charlotte basically the whole time, which was great. He's put the time in, not only on the court but in the weight room and the training room. So he's in a really good place. Excited to I didn't get to see him play last year when I got here. He was out, so really excited to see him and take the next steps. Yeah, he's one of the best playmakers in the NBA. His skill set is very, very, very good. I think the challenge for him is going to be, or what we've challenged him with, I should say, is just taking another step on the defensive end. How can you, continue to exert a little bit more effort and give multiple efforts and continue to try and help out on that end without seeing a drop off on the offensive end.
You mentioned Tijon. Where do you see him fitting in right now with you guys, and how is it? I guess will his growth go this first season for you? Do you think?
Yeah, he's had a great summer as well. He loves to work again in the weight room, on the court. That's the beautiful thing about him. You don't have to ask him to get in the gym and put the time in. He's very coachable. He's very receptive to coaching and detail oriented. So he's had a really good summer. Again, similar to Brandon, I don't want to put a limit on him. Obviously, I think he's going to be good. It'll take some time, Everyone's developmental curve is different, so it may take him, rookies a little bit extra time. He's still young, but I can tell you this: he has all the ingredients to be a good player.
I know you can't talk about the latest proposed trade, but the Green trade in particular, and just how did the totality of the offseason kind of deepen your lineup, taking some of the pieces that seemed to flash at the end of the year and use them as maybe a scenario where this lineup doesn't feel so crippled by injuries like it had in the past?
Yeah, Josh is, again, another young player who fits what we're about in terms of just the intangibles. One, he's very skilled as well. He can make shots, but he's a two-way player. We talk about getting guys who can do it on both ends, and he's a guy that I would say takes our defense to another level. Not to mention his experience in the finals last year, his experience in the Olympics this past year. So he's a young player, but he has seen a lot. And again, he's another guy who puts the time in and is not scared to put the work in. So really excited to have him as part of our team.
Kind of seems like a long time ago, but Summer League, it seems like the whole roster was there. Gabe, Rick, you, Charles, and even Taj was there too. Can you talk about the camaraderie that was showed during Summer League, and also some guys showing some promise, like Nick Smith Jr. kind of taking that role and really exceeding in that role that he had?
Yeah, one of the things that we take pride in is just our togetherness. Charles and I have talked about it a lot, and we're going to win some games together. We're going to lose some games together, but again, the common theme is together. So we know that in order to get to where we want to go, we'll face some adversity. In order to get through that adversity, we got to do it. We got to be able to look to the left and right and know that teammates have our backs. So that started back in July to have us together and go to dinner together and spend time and learn about each other's families, things like that. So really excited about that. And as you said, like Nick Smith, he showed some progress. It was great to have Charles be able to coach in Sacramento, and then Josh in Vegas, so they get some reps with him as well. And he was able to kind of have a better understanding of the expectations, what's going to be expected of him this season to have some success. So, yeah, really excited.
Jeff, last year when you got the job, you were talking about you wanted to really evaluate those last few games before going into the summer. What did you learn from guys like Trey Mann and some of the other young pieces that you were able to take going into the summer, and then what did they build on heading into this year?
Yeah, Trey was in a bit of a unique situation last year as well in terms of LaMelo being out, so he kind of assumed that starting role, and I thought he had some really good moments. It's good to see, when again Charles and his staff coming in and some of their expectations, see how they view him in the role. But again, Trey's another guy that he's had an unbelievable summer in terms of his work ethic. I feel like he lives in the gym. He's here more than anyone. He just loves it. He loves the grind. He loves to try to problem solve and figure it out how to get better. So he's taken another step in his game in terms of his shot making ability and ability to create. And then of course we're challenging all of our guys on the defensive end to take another step as well.
Jeff, obviously you guys have been a little displaced this summer with renovations, but how good has it been to be back, and how excited are you guys to welcome fans back here in a couple of weeks?
Really excited to be back. And look, we have been displaced, but one of the things that I applaud our group on, it hasn't been an excuse. It hasn't deterred us from getting to the gym and getting work in. So we found a way, whether it's here or some random gym, like we got there and the guys were able to put the work in and put the time in. And again, as I was saying earlier, we're process oriented, so I do feel like the results will end up taking care of themselves. But just really happy for our guys that they didn't make excuses, and just because Spectrum wasn't available, that didn't mean that they weren't able to get in and get some shots. So, and as you said, excited for the fans to see some of the renovations, and just another example of ownership, their commitment level in terms of resources, and they want this to be the best venue in the world. It'll take a step at a time.
It's not as young as the roster as we're used to seeing in Charlotte the last couple of years, especially with guys like Taj and Steph on the roster these days. How do you create roles for them, being so tenured in the league, while you have guys like LaMelo and Miles who are, kind of sticking out?
Yeah, I mean, Taj, this is his 16th season, which is it's pretty remarkable. That doesn't happen often, as you know. And I shouldn't say the only, one of the reasons he's able to stay around is because of his character and who he is as a person, and just the experience that he's able to bring along, and his mentorship. He's been tremendous with the guys already, and excuse me, and just in terms of habits, right? He shows up every day. He's a professional. He understands what he needs to focus on, what he needs to lock in on. He's able to eliminate distractions and the noise, and so that's a role in itself for him, and being able to kind of, again, share that with some of our young guys. And Seth's the same way, right? He's been in the league since he's been born, his dad and all that stuff. So he's seen a lot, whether he's been playing on teams or just observing. But both those guys can still play too. The guys have been playing in September. All I've been hearing is Seth's the best shooter we have, and Taj has been great around the rim and things like that. So excited for both of them, not to only help out, on the court when their name's called, but again, off the court, that's something that they'll be able to really contribute as well.
Jeff, you touched on the addition of Kemba Walker to the staff, but if you can elaborate on what were the series of events that made that a reality?
Yeah, Kemba's representation reached out at some point, and they expressed, that he may be retiring. He didn't know quite yet, but if he retired, if he could just come around a little bit and see what we were doing, and of course that was a no-brainer. Again, as I feel like we got a steal, so. I wanted to make sure he was ready to retire. Sometimes guys go back and forth, and that's only a decision that he knew that he was ready to make internally. And once he pulled the trigger, I again offered him to come around and be a part of it. And of course, had some conversations with Charles. Charles was extremely excited, to be able to have him part of the staff. So yeah, it was a bit of a no-brainer after he made the decision that he wanted to retire.
Jeff, Hunter spoke to, obviously this has been a bit of a transition, not only in terms of personnel, but facilities, and eventually there'll be a brand new facility across the street with a brand new practice facility. How much have you had any input or involvement on that, and what can you tell us about where things stand, and what does that offer for what the organization is building here to have something that's, standalone? It's not just here inside the building.
Yeah. I'll go back to it's another example of just ownership's commitment. They want this to be the premier franchise in the NBA, and part of that is, of course, the resources. So they've been tremendous. I've had some input. The front office has certainly had some input. It's been led by Shelly, our president of business ops. She's done a tremendous job with it. In terms of just making sure that it's again the best in the league. So really, really excited about that. And again, I'll just want to thank ownership for their commitment to that.
Jeff, if I could go back to Brandon Miller one more time. You mentioned some of the things you wanted other players, you specifically challenge them on, LaMelo and defense and such. What do you challenge Brandon Miller on this year? Where is if he takes this big step, where is that coming from?
Yeah, I think physically is going to be important for him. He is stronger, which is you have to have a level of strength in this league. He's so freaking skilled. Obviously, with the ball in his hands, he can do anything that he wants in terms of making shots, making plays for others. He plays the game the right way, but physically is a huge area for him, and that will help him, of course, offensively and defensively. And then I think, you look at his shot profile, it's a struggle sometimes. We kind of faced it in Brooklyn at times with Kevin and Kai. They're so efficient in the mid-range, and Brandon is as well, but sometimes you want him to shoot more threes. So it's an area for growth for him, but again, he makes so many mid-range shots. We're not gonna mess with him too much. So just, again, I think that the biggest area is physical for him.
With the new performance staff, just how have they kind of, I guess, helped the guys prepare for this season? They talked about, like I talked about, just I guess how helped him out to be a better player coming to the season. What are you seeing so far from that health and performance staff, and how can it help you guys improve going forward with injuries and such?
Yeah, they've been tremendous. That group's led by Trent Salo, and they have a really good understanding of the game. The majority of them played at some level, which I think is important. I think that what I've been excited about the most, they've come in and it hasn't been you need to do this. It's taking the time to get to know each individual and their body and what they like, what they respond to, and then tailoring a program for them. So they they've been really good this offseason, and just excited because I know that they're gonna do their best to have our guys available on a nightly basis.
Jeff, when you're looking to make moves to bring new players into the team, what do you look for on those type of players that you want to add to the Hornets?
Yeah, I think, look, first and foremost, we do take pride in character here. That's very important, basketball character, just someone who's able to be consistent, show up on a nightly basis. It's hard in the middle of February. It's snowing, and well, I guess maybe it's not snowing here, but it's cold. You don't feel like getting out of bed and all that stuff. Like, who's going to show up, right? Who's going to be excited to come in and put the work in. So guys who are dependable, guys who are consistent, guys who compete on a nightly basis, doesn't matter who the opponent is. And again, just guys who are obsessed with daily improvement. As I said, everyone can get better. I don't care if it's Taj or Seth or KJ, Tijon, doesn't matter. Charles and his staff, our front office staff, we can all get better. So it's constantly finding ways and not being content from that standpoint.
What do you project Tijon's role to be with Charlotte this year?
I think he's a guy, again, he's so freaking fearless. Just his competitive makeup, he's receptive to coaching. So I think Charles and his staff have kind of defined some metrics for him that they want to see from him. I'm sure he'll get into that if you guys ask him that. But again, to piggyback off that question, he comes in every day. Same attitude. He wants to work. You got to kick him out of the gym. He loves it. He loves to grind. So I think having those tangibles, those traits, a part of his characteristic, again, will help him have success, whatever that ends up being.
Coach, outside of the Hornets, Dikembe Mutombo passed away this morning. Your thoughts? 58 global ambassador of the NBA. Your thoughts on that? And had you heard that news?
No, that's my first time hearing that. That's horrible. Jeez, I didn't realize that. Thoughts and prayers out to his family. I mean, you talk about an icon, an ambassador of the game. He's done so much for the game here, but in Africa, and just helping his family and friends and things like that. Man, that's terrible to hear. I didn't realize that.
Jeff, no way to transition from that. When you and Gabe and Rick talk about premier franchise, how does that shape your approach every time you're looking to make a move? Because you're here in year one. And how do you think the moves that you have made since you got here have kind of set you up for that first year?
Yeah, I think with us, we wanted to take a holistic approach in terms of just having sustainable success. It's not one of these things where we want to make the playoffs 1 year and then we're out for another 4 years, or make the play-in game 1 year and then playoffs and then we're out for 5. Like, we want to be a consistent, relevant contender. You don't do that overnight, right? It takes time. You have to build it the right way. You can't skip steps. So every move that we do make, again, as I said earlier, we're very strategic to see if that's going to positively impact that goal, knowing that is the North Star, and we would kind of just work backwards from there.